Well, good evening, my little leprechauns. How are you this evening? You're all looking fine and healthy and forty for tart, if you know it. But you can't me torn and it's let the fellow support in a fairy tale. That's what I'll be telling you this evening. I'll be telling you a little fairy tale. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I'll tell you an Irish fairy tale called Little Green Riding Hood. Also known as a tisket to tasket, there's booze in that there basket. Well, now, once upon a time, Little Green Riding Hood was picking irises in her backyard. Oh, she was very fortunate with irises, she was. It's called the luck of the iris. Meanwhile, her mother was in the house packing a little lunch basket for Little Green Riding Hood to take to her sick grandma. Oh, now, Grandma was suffering from an unusual illness known in medical circles as the old lady's hangover. Well, the little basket was filled with all the things Grandma loved best, you know. In it there were lovely flowers, a pretty bird, and something to tickle Grandma's fancy. That's 4 roses, old crow, and 3 feathers. Oh, well, me jammers, it's amazing for a widow how much time old Grandma spent with old Granddad. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I'm a brave soul. We're used to revolutions in our country, you know. Soon it was time to set out for Grandma's house. But no sooner had she left the house when a wolf appeared. He was a gorgeous, handsome wolf. Oh, he was that indeed, he was. He had the eyes of Charles Boyer, the face of Cary Grant, and the shoulders of Joan Crawford. Well, now the little wolf looked at Little Green Riding Hood and asked her where she was going. He kept insisting, he did. He said, where? You see, he was a werewolf. Well, she very demurely and kindly said she was going to visit her sick little grandma. And the wolf said, you mean old Bourbon Face? Is that what you mean? And then Little Green Riding Hood told the wolf, now you take the high road and I'll take the low road. And I'll get the Scotch there for you. So Little Green Riding Hood started to walk toward her grandmother's house. But the wolf was no dummy. Oh, no. He figured out a way to get there first. He called his 3 friends, Bill, Mo, and Otto. And he gave them very specific instructions, you know. He got them to get down on all 4s. And he placed Otto in the front, Mo in the middle, and Bill in the back. That way they became his Otto, Mo, Bill. Shoot if you like. Here he jumped on them and off they went, and he took the Glockamore freeway all the way to Grandma's house. Oh, he had no trouble finding it at all. It was the one with all the empties out front. Grandma, you know, always had a man lying down in front of her door, and his name was Matt Maloney. And he kept saying, come in, come on in. That's what Matt said. He was her welcome mat. Can't win them all, you know. Well, the wolf knocked on the door. It'll be a job sobering him up, you know. We'll try that again, Buster. That's a little better. Grandma's voice inside said, who is it?
How is it, little? I got it matter because she was short of maternity hold. Who is it, maternity fetch?
She had a cold, you see. She was taking a little medicinal purposes, you know. A little booze she was drinking is what she was doing.
Just who is it, take it to me?
And the wolf answered, it's the little old winemaker, me. So she let him in. And no sooner was he inside the house when the wolf heard Little Green Riding Hood approaching. Now the wolf tied Graham up with a rubber band he once stole from the office of the defense secretary. I'll give you a little time on that and see if you can come up with the answer. He tied up Grandma with a rubber band that he stole from the defense secretary. Can I hear? Can I hear too? He called it McNamara's band, yeah. You're making me laugh when you do that now. Well, then the wolf stuck her under the bed, and after that, the wolf put on Grandma's clothes. And suddenly, there was a knock on the door. The wolf jumped into bed and said, come here. No, come here. And Little Green Riding Hood in all her innocence and splendor walked in. She walked over to the wolf and she noticed a ring on his finger. And it had a huge fake stone in it. It's what we call in Ireland a sham rock. Nathan here was a piker compared to me with bravery. Little Green Riding Hood got closer and said, Grandma, what big eyes you have. And the wolf said, I've been stretching my eyes wide so I can get the lead in the Little Orphan Annie story. And then Little Green Riding Hood said, Grandma, what a big nose you have. And the wolf said, thanks a lot, you're no Liz Taylor yourself. And she said, Grandma, what a furry face you have. And the wolf answered, all the better to hide my terrible complexion with. And she said, Grandma, what a big mouth you have. And the wolf said, all the better to eat you with, and he lunged for her. And why not? After all, it was his lunge hour. Well, he took a bite of her arm, and as she watched him eat it, she said, gee, Grandma, you shouldn't wolf your food out. At that very moment, without any hesitation at all, at that very moment, Miss Orford did flattered in the army, Miss Orford held. At that very instantaneous moment, Little Green Riding Hood was saved. Coming up on the rear, number 5, ridden by Joe Fitzhorses, and he is winning the Santa Dirty Derby. There they were. She was saved by the U.S. Cavalry. They rushed in and grabbed the wolf, and he was furious. He grabbed the cavalryman's trumpet and he tooted it. Then he hit him in the eye. And the cavalryman grabbed the trumpet back, tooted it, and hit the wolf in the eye. Now, whether you know it or not, I've just told you the whole moral of this story. And here it is. An eye for an eye, and a toot for a toot.